welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. To study the story of Ahab, king of Israel, is to learn that he just wasn't much of a man. Like most weak characters, he turned out a wicked one because he found there were more temptations to do wrong than inducements to do right. Like other weak people too, he was torn by the influence of stronger wills. On the one side, he had a shrew for a wife, stirring him up to idolatry and all evil, and on the other side, Elijah, thundering and lightning at him, so the poor man was often reduced to perplexity. Nevertheless, one time he did behave like a king, with some flash of dignity. His closest neighbor, and consequently his continual enemy, was the king of Damascus. That king raided across the border, and was dictating terms so severe as to incite even Ahab to a spark of bravado. His back was at the wall, and he mustered up courage to say no. That provoked a bit of bluster from the enemy, who sent back a message: "The gods do also unto me, and more also, if the dust of Samaria shall suffice for handfuls of all the people that follow me." And Ahab answered him, "Tell him, let not him that girdeth on his harness boast himself as he that putteth it off." These words have a dash of contempt and sarcasm, all the more galling because of this unanswerable common sense. So the battle began, and the bully was beaten, and for once Ahab tasted the sweet savour of success. Threats and cocky self-confidence have been trained into the soldier since time immemorial. To face a shock of battle, no doubt, is necessary to have some sense that your arms are superior to the enemy's, your cause more just, your leaders more competent. And yet there are cautions to be observed. And the higher one rises as a leader, the more necessary it is for that leader to take a clear-eyed view of his force and capabilities and those of his opponent. While the enemy is a great way off, is a time to consider whether you can handle his 20,000 with your 10,000, or if maybe the whole struggle can be averted by sending an embassage of peace. Spiritually thinking, perhaps the first step in that rational consideration is to ask yourself, what really is this life all about? And what is it in its deepest and most important aspects that I'm to do with it? Some folks seem to see life mainly as a sort of shop, a place for using evenings after work is over for such recreations as they find most pleasant. Others see it sort of like a pig's trough with plenty of filthy things floating down in it for whoever chooses to suck them up, a stream of impure delights, a place where a person can gratify all the lusts of the flesh. The reality is that this mysterious, tremendous life of ours, with its potentials for us to be noble, courageous, virtuous, and fulfilled, is meant to be one long conflict. We are like the ancient Israelites who had to build the walls of the city of Jerusalem with a sword in one hand and a mortar trowel in the other. The condition under which we work in this world is that everything worth doing has to be done at the cost of opposition and antagonism, and that no noble service or building is possible without brave, continuous conflict. Even upon the lower levels of life, that is so. No one learns a science or a trade without having to fight for it. But high above these lower levels, there is on the one on which we all are called to walk, the high level of duty. No soul does what his conscience tells him, or refrains from that which his conscience sternly forbids, without having to fight for it. We're in the lists and compelled to draw the sword, and if we do not realize this, that all nobility, all greatness, all wisdom, all success, even of the lowest and most clever kind, are won by conflict, we'll never do anything in the world worth doing. In that conflict, a boastful, self-confident attitude is certain of defeat. The one sure route to mastery of life and oneself in it begins with kneeling at the feet of the God who delivered Ahab with all his faults and who loves you and me no less. Have you talked to him today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.